30.
Okay. Welcome everyone to the July 1st Hartland Selectboard meeting. We are going to do just a few items of business before the presentation, and then we'll dive right into the reason why most of you are here tonight. The first order of business are the Select Board minutes from June the 17th. We have regular minutes as well as executive session. I move approval. Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Your second? Okay. Good. Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We do not have a paper copy or electronic copy of the executive session, but we took no action as we came out. So I would ask the board to acknowledge that we took no action and record in the minutes that we did that. Okay. Thank you, Cheyenne. Okay. The next item are the accounts payable or the orders through today, July 1st. Again, I need a motion to accept them.
I move to accept the orders.
Thank you, Clyde. A second.
Second.
Thank you, Jim. This seems to be a familiar question on my part. On page 2, the expense to Dalton Auto.
Yep.
Was that finishing?
That's finishing their work. So that was the 550. That was the exhaust and the fuel line. This was the truck that had the engine put in it last year or earlier this year.
Okay, so this is the
same truck.
Last payment, 3,000.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
So we did negotiate a discount with them since they had it for a significant amount of time.
Yeah. Thank you, John.
Yep.
We also had a number of payables that are for next fiscal year, and I was curious as to why we don't have them for our next board meeting.
So those are all for Old Home Days. Martin, do you want to?
So our computer system lets us enter them for the next fiscal year, so we can pay them on time. I did the year end this morning, so we're right on track with our payables.
Okay.
Right, but we're paying things that we haven't had. We haven't had the event
Checks have
yet.
enough bills.
Okay.
John Leonard will get the checks, but he won't pass them on until later.
Okay.
The payments are actually rolling out. Okay.
Just a quick question on stray expense.
On the what?
Stray
Yes.
expenses on page 6.
Yep.
Is that money that will get reimbursed?
In all likelihood, no. We will effort to get reimbursed for those stray expenses, but in all likelihood, no. Yeah.
On page 6, there are legal fees incurred by the Planning Commission. Do you have any indication of whether they've started mediation? Is it with the
There's been no information since we had that site visit last month.
Okay. I think we should ask the chair of the Planning Commission to clarify what's going on there. Chris, you all set?
Yeah.
Clyde, any questions? Okay, Tom, you said. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, motion passes. Okay, going on to why everyone's here. First item of old business. Public comments. Are there any public comments other than the Virgin?
Send those back to Clyde.
Clyde. I would like to make one. I'd like to thank the library staff the library trustees and the town oven committee for a great Saturday week, a couple of days ago, to kick off a summer reading program and so on. It was a good turnout, and it was nice to see so many people there. Okay. So this evening, we have a presentation from Laura Stone. Where are you? Okay. We'll let Laura introduce the people that are with her and what's going to happen. We ask that if there are questions during the course of the presentation, that you identify yourself for the record, per se. And let's try to rearrange chairs, so please, so you can see the slide presentation. Are there any more chairs in the corner of the room? Okay.
Can folks on Zoom hear me from here?
No,
Probably not.
okay. And the real question is the CATV sort of, we want you on camera.
Oh, okay. Where do you want me to stand?
Probably right here, and you may want to get a chair if you want to sit, but
Anywhere in front of the table is fine.
these owls aren't very sensitive as far as sound.
Is
We
this
gotta
chair
move.
free? Yeah. I was trying to hide in the back.
No such luck.
Nope.
So welcome. This is
Excuse me,
the
one second,
local-
we're just gonna move chairs and stuff
Okay.
here.
You just text that out.
Yes. Okay.
So welcome, this is the local concerns meeting for the Willard Covered Bridge. I'll just stress that we're at a really early stage of project development. Our project has been programmed as part of the Town Highway Bridge Program. We're starting to get going on the scoping process. At this point, we've had an inspection done on the bridge, and now we're really, we want to hear the public's concerns so we know how to move forward with developing alternatives for this project for the town to consider. We brought Hoyle Tanner on board. Well, first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Laura Stone. I'm the project manager through the scoping process. Once the project moves into design, JB McCarthy will be the project manager. And we brought Hoyle Tanner on board. They're really the covered bridge experts in Vermont. We have Joseph Bicka and Todd Sumner here, and they're going to be giving most of the presentation, or all the presentation. So, hand it over to you.
Okay, as the board said, I'm Todd Sumner. I'm the Hoyle Tanner project manager for this project in Scoping. And with me is Joseph, he's our technical expert. In the back, taking notes is Alex Wheeler, who's also the project manager as well. So, thank you for coming tonight. I mean, this is a beautiful day out there, so thank you for spending your time here. And the goal is to have a local concerns meeting for the Willard Covered Bridge. Oops. Well, you guys move here.
If you just pick this up and get it back. There we go.
Here we go.
All right, thank you. All right. So, we actually have a little, the goal of this is to get your concerns and, thoughts about the Willard Covered Bridge. And we have this little presentation that was put together to help get the users flowing and thinking about stuff. Well, we're gonna first talk about the purpose and need for the project. We're gonna have a location map. You all know what the covered bridge is anyways. We're gonna talk about the existing bridge. Switch over to Joseph. He's gonna talk about inspection findings. If some of you remember, there, back in the middle of November, when it was kind of a cold day, we saw a bunch of people on ladders with brightly colored vests. That was us. So we have to do this site visit. We're going to get the rehabilitation and traffic control alternatives, cultural and natural resources, talk the right of way. We're getting the next steps in the project and the anticipated schedule. But the important thing is your input is greatly appreciated. All right, purpose is to provide a safe crossing of the Ottauquechee River that meets the needs of the traveling public. The need is to address the structural deficiencies and ongoing deterioration and extend the service life of that bridge. The bridge does require rehabilitation to continue to meet the low capacity needs of the community. So we're here to talk about the second bridge as you're heading north on northeast on Mill Street. Not the first one that was rehabilitated significantly back in 2001. We're here for the northeastern. So the bridge was constructed in 1871, but according to, well, I'm assuming that's the case. If that's what the little sign on the bridge says. The V.S.A. bridge inspection says it was constructed in 1919, but we're running with the sign says on the bridge. I had a significant rehabilitation with a lot of members being replaced as the concrete facing the stone abutments in 1952, and then it got a new roof in 2008 and I think some additional concrete facing. It was listed in the Natural Register of Historic Places back in 1973. It's a town lattice truss that's 128 feet long, but that's on the top from peak to peak. You know that bridge is a little bit longer. The overhang on the ends, and in between the abutments is about 123 feet. The horizontal clearance on the inside is 15 feet 10 inches. The vertical clearance is closer to 12 feet, but it varies from 12 feet to 13.6. You know, the portal's got a little bit of an arch to it. So the lowest point is 12 and the highest point is 13.6. The abutments are laid up stone with concrete facing. And the wing walls are mostly laid up stone. There are some areas that have a concrete facing on them, and you'll see some pictures of that later. All right, before I hand over the bridge inspection discussion to Joseph, I'm going to go over some of the terminology that he's going to be using when he's talking about that. And most of you know what rafters and roofing looks like. That's right there. The tie beam is what kind of ties the top of the trusses together, make sure they don't split out or fall outward. Or it doesn't matter. The knee braces, those are what give it stability and rigidity when the wind blows. Lattice members, that's there, those are long vertical members, but you look over here in the portrait elevation view, they're really are the diagonals. Those are the lattices, diagonals in there. Water planks, deck, floor beam, which is supporting the deck and the water planks. Distribution beams. My opinion is that they're of marginal value, but they're there, and in the future we would recommend moving them. The upper core, well, actually it's a top core. This is this group of wood going into the page is called the top core. There's an upper portion and a lower portion. And the same thing is true with the bottom core. That grouping is called the bottom core, with an upper and a lower portion to it as well. Any questions about that terminology or anything before I move over? Those are going to talk about the condition bridge. Thank you, Todd. So sweet. I can do it, it's fine. So before I drill down into photos, I have a lot of photos I'm going to show you. This is a big picture. This is what we're looking on the bridge. From the deck to the superstructure and substructure, you have the scale on the right side, 1 to 9, 1 being worst condition and 9 being the best condition. So we've assigned different numbers on that scale for each major component on the bridge. So on the deck, we've assigned it a 5, which is right in the middle, fair condition. Superstructure, we've assigned it a 4 or a poor condition. Substructure, it's a 5. Channel condition is an 8. And then overall, we're giving it a 4 on the scale of 1 to 9. Not in terrible condition, but not in great condition. It needs a little bit of work to bring it up to the 6s and the 7s and possibly on the 8s when the rehab is done. So now I'm going to drill down on a lot of members, a lot of photos. When we did the inspection back in November, we documented the condition. We went from the top down. We looked at everything that we could possibly can. We used extension ladders. We also went underneath the bridge with a raft with scaffolding. We got on top of the scaffolding and then we moved the scaffolding along the span of the bridge. And then every couple of feet, we looked into the bottom board members and we documented the condition, and that's what I'm going to go over today. So working from the top down, on the roof, you see some discoloration there. So that's a roof board. You see the rafters. Obviously, there was a leak there at some point. The roof was done in 2008, and since then, there's been some damage on some of the roof boards, on some of the roof rafters. But for the most part, the roof is in decent condition. It's not that bad. We have some minor splits. We have some small areas of rot in the leaking, but for the most part, it's in good condition. This is a rafter that sits on top of that upper board that Todd mentioned earlier. So you can see a lot of different members here that have been added over the years. The original bridge didn't have much an overhang. The end of the roof used to come to the end of that board and didn't provide any protection for the snow to keep it well protected. So back in 1952, I believe they added those extensions, and you can see them here in this view, and you can see them on that elevation view. Every couple of feet, that and an extension. It doesn't look great, but it's doing its job. It's keeping the snow from coming into the eave of the bridge. The other thing that overhang is doing for us is adding more snow load. So when we're looking at the capacity of the members, we have a lot more snow load that was intended when it was originally built. This is the tie beam, that horizontal member that connects the 2 trusses on the top board. So you got some notching there that's pretty conventional. So that notching locks everything together between the boards. But the condition of the tie beams, you got some splits, you got some areas rot. There's been few areas that have been hit over the years by oversized vehicles. So there's definitely some work that we need to do to bring it up to good condition. Cross bracing is those diagonal braces that run between the tie beams. So there are some issues with them with the connections when they tie in to the tie beam. You got the mortise and tenon connection there, and you got the wedges, and some of the wedges are loose. They're not well connected, so some work needs to happen there too. There's some split on some of the members, but for the most part, they're in decent condition. Knee braces, we mentioned the knee braces. Those are the diagonal members that connect the bridge from the tie beam to the lower upper cord. They were replaced. You could see a notch that used to be on the tie beam, so that notch was another member, was another wooden member that used to come across and used to connect from the tie beam to that cord. But I would imagine that they were getting hit all the time from oversized vehicles, and then at some point the town decided to replace them with steel angles that are lagged and bolt into the wood member. So some of the connections are not great. Definitely some work on them too. This is the top board picture. On the top board, this is side view. You can see some rocks. This is a top view. You can see the ice pick. There's some sand built up that's retaining the moisture between the plies. There's 4 plies on each board. So between those plies, when they start to open up, sand and debris gets in there and keeps it moist, and that's what causes usually the rot to accelerate the rot into the members. The other thing that we notice is that some of the channels are actually too short. So this is one of the connectors. We call those the channels. It's a wooden peg that keeps everything well tied together between each lamination. But some of them are actually too short, and you can see the tape going in a couple inches because that channel didn't quite make it all the way over. This is a view of the lattice member. You can see the lattice intersecting to the top board. So you can see a lot of rot on that particular one. There was probably a prior leak from the roof that used to leak. The roof has been addressed, but it caused all the damage that we're seeing here now. Working our way down from the top towards the bottom of the bridge, you can see the lattice members. That one is quite a split. The member actually split in half. And over the years, some of the members have been replaced, usually the lower parts. And everywhere where that happens, they have this splice block detail where they bolted two laminations on either side, and then they bolted 2 bolts on either side of the connector. So some locations we're wondering why they added that bigger block there. That's like a snagging point from the traffic. You bring in more of those bolts and the wooden members into the traffic. So definitely need to do something about that. Working our way down into the bottom board. This is from the raft that I mentioned earlier. This is the cord, the lowest part of the bottom cord, and those are the lattice members. The connection of the lattice members to the cord, it's all over the place on the bottom. It's not consistent. Usually you stick with a pattern that's going to work, that's going to connect all the members together. But for some reason, when this bridge was done, the contractor ended up switching that pattern. Right now we have 2 trottles on the top and 1 on the bottom. And it alternates. Sometimes it goes 2 and 1, sometimes it goes 1 and 2. So when you do 1 and 2, you don't have enough room to have all those trottles connect all the lattice members and the cord members, and that's what you're seeing here. We got 3 trottles, all 3 of them missed one of the ladders. You can see that connection is not really doing much for us. That lattice is not really well connected. So there's some issues like that, not very easy to fix because you have a lot of holes on the bottom cord. And you can't go and drill another hole next to it because you're going to significantly reconnect. I mentioned the 2 trottles on the top and 1 on the bottom is the ideal pattern that you want to connect it. But in this case, those first 2 trottles were a bit too far on the left. They should have been a little bit more to the right in order to connect it to that lattice. So there's a lot of issues down below with the connectors that they're not well connecting the lattice members into the cord. Bottom cord, we got some split. You can see this is pretty obvious. That's another one right there, pretty big. So when we see that, we definitely need to address it. We can't leave it like that. There's some weather. There's definitely some rot. You see the rot on the bottom. This is from the bottom looking up. This is on the side. What we noted was that it's a lot of sand that's built over the years on top of those cords, several inches of sand and debris. So that sand retains the moisture. So when you have all that moisture, all that wet environment, it's going to cause that rot is going to promote that rot. The other interesting thing that we noted was that there's an area on the north truss near midspan that we went there and we're like, why is it so dark down here? But actually there was a fire, there was a previous fire, and you can see all the charred wood that's been damaged. So we have some section losses that occurred when that fire happened. Not sure when it happened, but there was definitely a fire there. Based on what we see here. Looking from the underside of the deck, there's quite a bit of the deck that's in rough condition. You can see a lot of rot. You can see a lot of the wood underneath it is very soft. It's all wet. moisture content was anywhere from 40 to 50% moisture content, which is very wet, which is promoting the rot. On the very end, on the east end of the bridge, part of the deck was recently replaced, so the deck is not in that great of a condition. Todd mentioned the distribution beams. Those are the longitudinal members that are hung from underneath the floor beams. A lot of weight on those distribution beams that they intended to distribute the load from one floor beam to another floor beam, but those hanger rods that we have there, they're mostly corroded. A lot of them have failed and they're hanging underneath it. So right now, those distribution beams, they really don't do much for the bridge, other than just add a lot of weight. And one of the recommendations is going to be to reduce some of the dead load. And when we reduce the dead load, less members that we have to repair, less members of the actual trusses that historic that we're trying to preserve, less members that we have to repair and strengthen. The floor beams are in really good condition. What we can see from each side and the bottom. What we don't know is that when we're going to remove the deck is nailed down to the top of the floor beam. So when we remove the deck, we're not sure if we're going to encounter any areas that we're going to have a lot of rot on the top of the floor beam. So that's just something that we definitely need to keep an eye. And if the rot is not very deep, we can repair it. But if it goes too deep into the floor beam, we may need to replace or strengthen some of the floor beams. We mentioned the hanger rods, so that's a distribution beam, that's a floor beam, and you can see the hanger rod just hanging there. It's not doing anything. The hanger rod's supposed to be connected, wrapped around the floor beam, coming down into the distribution beam, but right now it's not doing that. The hanger rod it's completely corroded, and they're just hanging there. And this is that portion of the deck that I mentioned. On the east end of the bridge that was recently replaced, you can see the solid line, I think, JB was replaced. Pressure treated solid line deck that was recently replaced. Concrete abutments, you see a lot of that fluorescent staining. We call this the calcium chloride. When the calcium penetrates into the concrete, it starts to leach out, and that's what you see there on the white. A fluorescent staining that's coming out. So that's an indication that we have salt penetrated into the concrete, and if there's reinforcement behind the concrete, it's going to create a rust staining, which is seen on this other abutment. You can see all that dark brown, which is the indication that the reinforcement behind the abutment is corroded and it's starting to bleed through the concrete. This is one corner of the east abutment, I believe, right at the bottom on the water line. You see a lot of aggregates close together with no cement. I'm suspecting that when the concrete was poured, it was maybe a bit too fluid, maybe had a little too much water. So the aggregates sank on the bottom of the concrete, and then the cement was on the top. So when you get that condition, you don't have really good coverage of the cement around the aggregate. That's what you get. You get the delamination, you get the spalling, you get all that cracking on that concrete facing. The other thing to note is that the aggregate's supposed to be fractured. That way it interlocks with the cement, but on this case it was all round aggregate and it was not fractured. The stone wing walls, Todd mentioned that the wing walls are partially stone, partially encapsulated in concrete, and you can see that right here. Whatever is done in concrete is in beautiful condition. It was repaired back in 2008. It's a really beautiful condition. When you look at those stone walls, you just want to enjoy them. When they encapsulate it in concrete, there's some issues with the concrete when you do that. Here's another area on the southwest wing wall where the concrete is starting to crack, and you can see a lot of different joints. When the concrete was poured, they didn't pour it a continuous pour from the bottom to the top. They had different pours, a lot of cold joints, and a lot of cracking as a result of that with the water penetrating into the concrete. Portals are in satisfactory condition. There's been some damage over the years from oversized vehicles, but for the most part, they largely intact. There's definitely some damage that you could tell, but for the most part, they in good condition. The rail did some work. It's hanging too low. It doesn't meet the current standards. And then on one end of the bridge, I believe on the east end, the roadway slope, it's coming towards the bridge, which is contributing with all the storm water. Whenever you get a rain event, all the water comes to the bridge rather than away from the bridge. So definitely something needs to be done to reshape and regrade the east approach so the water will drain away from the bridge and not towards the bridge. We want to keep the water away from the bridge. So there was a lot of photos, a lot of condition that I explained to you. We could stop here for a moment to answer any questions. If you don't have any questions, Todd will take it over and wrap it up with the other part. Any questions?
Yes. Pretty much everything you said shows up in the inspection reports from 2020, so this is just get pushed down the road, pushed down the road, pushed down the road.
So I guess I'll take, you're asking why this hasn't become a project sooner?
Yeah.
So this is a town highway, this structure is owned by the town. We do have the town highway bridge program, but it's an extremely competitive program. The town highway bridge program does pay 80% federally funds the project, 10% state funds, 10% town funds. We can reduce the town funds based on the alternatives looked at. But it really is a town-owned structure, and it's,
Well, when I called the state, I think it was Pam Thurber I talked to, she told me that the bridge is owned by the state, not the town. And the past town manager, every time I brought something up to him, he said it was a state-owned bridge. So, I mean, it's pretty confusing because you can't get a straight answer. I mean, I got a folder here that's only 2 years old, different reports and emails, and you can go through it, and none of it matches up to what anybody seems to say.
yeah, so this is definitely a town-owned structure, it's owned by the town. It's, there's a lot of bridges out there. There's a lot of needs on the town systems. We only have a certain amount allocated for town highway structures. There's bridges in a lot worse condition than this. And it's just, the town is fortunate that this has been brought into the town highway bridge program at this point. But it is owned by the town. The state does a service to the towns. We inspect all of the town-owned structures over 20 feet in length. But it is a town-owned structure.
So what is the ultimate goal? I know you're saying this is not preliminary, but what is your ultimate goal for that bridge?
Yeah, the ultimate goal here is a bridge where the maintenance needs are addressed, and we want to get at least a 40-year project out of this. We want a project that has a design life of at least 40 years before the town really has to come back and do any major work. There's always going to be cyclical maintenance that has to happen to the structure. I don't know how often these need to be redecked or roof work. There's cyclical maintenance that happens, but this is going to be a major rehabilitation to get this bridge up to kind of where it needs to be right now.
What is the other bridge? Did you inspect that one too, or no?
We did not. So only conservation.
This bridge gets work done to it. Is there any way to beef up the weight on it, and then eventually the second bridge and the other bridge will become two, but instead of just fixing them both to 10 tons?
So Tom is going to go a bit deeper into the different options that we're going to look at. So that's one of the options to increase the load carrying capacity. We don't know if we can or not right now, but that's one of the options that we're going to look at.
No, so when do you guys will not inspect the other bridge at all?
So, BJ, the town inspected the other bridge a couple months ago. I have a report I can share with you. It's
We decided not to mix the two tonight.
correct.
Stick with what the state has helped us with. And understand.
That was very active, relatively recently compared to this one.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot
Pretty good
more.
shape.
Yeah, I just.
Are there any other questions on inspection findings before Todd moves on?
The channel, when you first saw this, the channel, the
Actual waterway channel where we're close to it.
would it help to, when it does get fixed, if it does do a pavement entry on the dirt side? So the dirt doesn't wash down into it?
Yeah, one of the goals is to pitch the road away from the bridge. Right now, the road is pitching towards the bridge and all the water comes in the area of the deck. And that's the area where the deck was recently replaced because it was so bad. So the goal is to shape it away from it. Then we were digging underneath the gravel, we did find some pavement. It was definitely, the pavement does help the amount of dirt that might get trapped into it, but we still want to keep it relatively dry, because that end is where the bridge is being supported, and that's where a lot of the rock is happening. So we want to keep that dry, so you definitely don't want the water to get in there.
When I was there, when they replaced it, they were saying that they recommended the state, because they're recommending paved.
Yes, and their drains are in, they just don't work, right?
Are you talking about the north side?
Talking about the dirt side.
Yeah.
The northeast side that kind of does
The
this.
dirt.
I was there when we did that repair, and I think we talked to the thing they sent me here. Just to get the water down the slope and up.
What were you saying? I'm sorry.
That was my question. I said, I believe there's drains on that end, but they're just all plugged up with dirt ends. More from 2020 references, drains being all plugged up.
Yeah, no, nothing is functioning, all the water is coming to the end of the deck. The drains are up, I don't see, they're probably there. Drains, are you talking about those like dropping that's out there, away from the bridge, trying to get water before it got to no?
There are those on the new bridge, the southern bridge, but those are also full. Debris.
So, replacing the bridge with a modern bridge, is that a question then? It sounds like.
Yeah, so because this is a historic structure and federal funds are involved, this needs to be a rehabilitation. When federal funds are involved, we have to go through the section 106 and 4F historic permitting process, and I think Todd has a slide about that. But really, rehabilitation is the only alternative that we consider and can consider. This is never going to be rehabilitated to an HL 93, to take modern loads, like our modern highway loads. Like Joseph said, there are some things that we can look at, maybe beefing up some members, increasing the load capacity may be possible. The more load that you want to get over this bridge, the more of those historic members are going to have to be replaced. But in terms of the town highway bridge project with federal funds involved, it has to be rehabilitation.
Dumb question, but like, if there was a catastrophic event, nature or whatever, I'm a fire chief, so I'm not gonna run it down, but like, is there any way to get out of it? Or is it always gonna be rehab?
So I believe, and I'm not 100% sure, but I believe if the town wanted to replace it with 100% town funds, I mean, once federal funds aren't involved, I don't think you need to go to the same level of permitting on that end. If it got washed away in a storm, it's gone. It's no longer historic. Yeah.
You go out there and say,
Looks like someone already tried.
The issue though is the people that live on the north end of the of the road, emergency services, oil deliveries have to go over a private road, then down a class 4 road to get their services.
Yeah, but that's not a good option either, because there's at least 4 people on that road that are self-employed. And I can tell you right now, my pickup and my dump trailer empty, when State's gate is locked, technically I can't go home.
So let me finish, sir, let me finish my statement. So, and also full disclosure, I work for the Greater Upper Valley Solid Waste District. We're a landowner on the other side. We work with Twin State Sand and Gravel, and we're allowing the town and the services access over our properties so that these people can get that. So this is problematic, and I understand the Section 106 and the historical stuff related to this, but it is an issue. And there's been vandalism at Twin State Sand and Gravel. We've had vandalism at our facility as well. And I'm not quite sure how we address this, but I know there's a lot of frustration on the part of the residents who are sort of stuck.
Well, even though the emergency vehicles is an issue.
Well, right, so.
I mean, we've had 2 instances in probably, what, 6 months? I mean, it's ridiculous. They get there, now I understand they have block off, so they do have access to that gate, but they couldn't get through the gate. And then my understanding, talked to the chief in Hartford, was they were gonna carry bolt cutters. Well, they showed up one night, they couldn't cut the locks on the gates. They ended up having to cut the hoops to get through because they couldn't cut the lock, so, you know, somebody sitting there can't breathe, and it's over 45 minutes for an ambulance to get, but you can probably drive that in about 90 minutes normally.
And contractors have dropped people on residents on the road from basic services, including septic. I think that we're down to the last contractors that will service us, and what if they cancel?
Garbage, pickup has already had to stop last year because it refused to go over the road. So we lost that service.
Our property values, and how would we ever resell our homes? I lived there 20 years. When I moved there, there was a higher rate limit, and there was just an understanding on basic services, you had to use those. And the sudden enforcement and change in the weight was really a massive change in our life there. And our properties and the ability to resell and the ability to feel confident that we can heat our homes, get our septic pumps. It's a bus stop when bridges get shut down.
That way is not always maintained.
It's dangerous.
Many days that garbage trucks come to the top and it's not hot. They're not coming in. Propane's not coming in.
One of my vehicles cannot drive. I have to roll. I can't roll on that road anymore. It's about this steep, and the glare ice is not interesting. You guys have seen this, and even no drive vehicle, it's being.
No truck goes off that hill. We've seen that 2-3 times already.
So you had mentioned that the services used to be able to use the bridge. Is that because you know what the design or rating of that bridge was originally?
We don't, what the design load rating was, but I know we did the load rating and it's for the existing condition, it's at 5 tons in the town, to do some repairs. They gotta go there. We wrote a letter to the state, I don't know if it made it to the town, but before the winter, there needs to be some blocking that needs to be installed underneath one of the trusses based on what we found. So right now, we don't see increase in the capacity without a major rehab. Or anything more than what's posted.
So I'm curious if the design posting of the bridge has been lowered over the years. Because I'm guessing with the rehabilitation in kind, if that was the case, like back in the day, it was designed to a higher posting, you should be able to get back up to that posting.
It's gonna be very challenging. One of the issues is gonna be on the bottom cord. I showed you those 3 connections. Usually on the town lattice, you use a wider member, you use a 12/5, 3x12. But for some reason, this bridge, 128 feet long, they use 3x10s. So not a lot of room to add another connector, to add another bolt there. So we need to be creative as to how we can increase the capacity above the 5 tons that it's currently posted and it's good for.
So Seth Ames from Twin States, who's here, and the town negotiated with us, was that like 3 or 4 years ago? Seth, when we started doing all that? So it was about 3 or 4 years ago that they lowered the weight limits. And that was at the request of the town manager. Whether he got a letter from someone, I don't know, but that's when we started having our negotiations with that.
Yeah, we calculated the capacity.
I'm just going by what the woman said. It was all of a sudden, it was just lowered. And I believe we have a dairy farmer here who used to be able to take his equipment across it. So now we have to go up from 5, sort of this serpentine way to get there. And John, were emergency vehicles allowed to cross it in the past?
So when I joined the fire department and fought fire on the other side of the bridge, the rules were ignored. So we now have a 40,000 pound fire truck. I'm not going to put that over a 10,000 pound bridge.
Right.
And that was the same thing town Hartland said. When they got to, stop.
Even their
The state tells them that they don't have to abide by that weight limit, but he will not run any of his vehicles across that bridge. But then the other question that had come up before was, is it even rated for 5,000 pounds? I mean, 5 to 10,000 pounds.
I think my point is, in your preliminary alternatives, whatever you can do to beef up that thing as much as possible. But I think it's gonna be greatly appreciated by everyone.
Yeah, Todd is gonna go into all those different options that we're gonna look into on the next level. Yeah, so. All right, so we're confident that we can rehabilitate this existing structure to 10,000 pound capacity. I mean, it's already there right now, but we need to go out and replace things, we got this replace the rotten stuff. And it will extend, by replacing that, we can extend the service like that. So the load limits that we're going to be evaluating is a 5-ton design vehicle, H5, which we've already discussed, an H12, which is a 12-ton, and an H15, which is a 15-ton vehicle. Beyond that, I mean, the geometry of this bridge just really prevents you from improving it beyond that. If you need a little thing, beyond that, it's a new bridge. And that, like I said, would be difficult to do instead of and just a pile on, you said, everything on that bridge is 3x10. They do that every day. A lot of the time you see, the upper core is that smaller members in relation to the bottom core. And sometimes those, the last members, crosswise, when you get near the end of the bridge, sometimes it's sized up a little bit bigger. Because that's, you're getting mostly fish juice inside the correct places. This, these same size, everything in the building. So that is going to be a limitation, not a traffic impact, affecting the characteristic of bridge. So rehabilitation alternatives analysis, when we look at these, we'll look at the initial construction costs. We'll also look at potential fire protection, impacts of traffic, public safety, the environmental impacts, velocity impacts, extending the main service line structure, and getting and considering public input. Now, this might be on top of that. We had something that the traffic control alternative, space construction. That one lane of alternating two-way traffic is what we do with space construction, but we can't do that in this kind of bridge. It's too narrow. Plus the nature of it, you can't maintain traffic on one side of it while trying to replace it. It's not like a 5-year review. You have some redundancy in the supporting members. This is just dangerous. A temporary bridge is an option. Our initial thoughts on this was not going to be cost effective. That's a really long span that you have to put in there to get across the other bridge at that point, which brings the bridge closure with an off-site detour. But
Question about that. What about a child who needs to catch the bus to go to school and to walk home from the bus after school and uses those bridges to access his education?
So I think part of that would come down to, a lot of our construction projects are done in the summer when school is out. Depending on how much of a rehabilitation there is, how long the duration. This project would be in construction. Our usual construction season starts April 15th and goes through October. That's not to say that the bridge would be closed for that entire duration. I mean, I don't know if we could look at a closure between June and September.
it would depend on which option we go with. If we do more replacement, then the duration will be longer, but if we go with H5 with mostly rehab in place, then it's going to be much shorter. So all depends on what option you're going to get.
And in the event that it is a longer construction duration, I mean, during those, that May and June until school is out, and September, month of September, I think you'd have to drive around the detour.
The school won't help. It doesn't work. It's not possible. I've got two kids who both actually go to school. I mean, I have to get up at 3 a.m. But as it is, I'm getting up for it.
And they can't get dropped off.
It's not well.
It's the long, it's not only the private, it's private property, they would have to be dropped off on. It's a long road, even just the business road, and forget the back road, back path. Way too far. Because even if you put an alternate bus up there, a child can't walk down that. I don't even want my high school to do that.
Yeah, which they said no to last time it was it. And what about after school? How does he get home? Are we supposed to quit our jobs? Are we supposed to pay? If we could even find somebody to transport our kid home, how does this work?
Because I think we must have to go through the locked gate.
The school bus they said no, and they already had a lawyer look into it last time, that the buses were, background, and they won't do anything, nothing.
That's because they won't cross into town.
That's for other reasons, I'm not sure, but the quality of life, the expense for us, you're looking at one of us not having a job because of this.
So I will mention, I don't know if this is a good time to bring up construction year, but we have this in, I don't know how old your kids are, but we have this in construction for 2028, 2029. It's far out. This is several years out. We're 4 years out from construction. So just thinking from that perspective, I don't know how old your kids are, but they're gonna be older, there could be other options on the table there.
And so we can expect that the bridges would be open until then?
Yes, unless there was some condition, unless something failed or they found something on an inspection report and it was like an unplanned closure. As part of this project, the plan would not be to close it until 2028.
But depending on the level of placement and stuff, you can see that there's some components that we can replace without closing the bridge. But there will be some that will have to be closed, the bridge will have to be closed in order to replace it. You can't have a little more light. So there is that, and massage and try and write the specs to force the contract and say you have to place these in this time frame. But we do have to make sure that whatever we spec out in the plan and those grids is reasonable and can be paid by the contract. You don't want to put in this situation.
I'll just move that site that we did, that's pretty great.
Looking for that, we're just gonna have to require a span. And it also depends on, yeah. There's something else that we can look at, depending on the nature of the rehabilitation, maybe there could be a shelter, protected path that can walk through it. Pedestrian traffic, if you just got one or two kids walking through there from it, and, it's not a big weight thing, because the bridge is gonna be supporting it. The only problem is there's a risk to the kids' safety walking through the construction zone. So there's a trade-off there, it's something we can look at and consider, but.
Are you guys gonna be working with Twin State, San Antonio, as far as the gates and stuff go?
Yep.
That would be,
But
if
last
there
time, everybody
is
was
a plan for maintaining traffic somehow on this, with a detour or whatever, that's fine, how it's gonna work. You can't fix it, can't fix the bridge.
Well, last time, everybody was told, deal with them yourselves.
Yeah, so as part of the state project, we would need to legally obtain the temporary rights from them. There would be compensation to them for use of that road during the closure. So, yeah, we would definitely be working with them.
And, the cost of putting a temporary bridge is pretty significant there, it'd be massive. However, there is a cost, if there's flexibility of actually upgrading Mill Street on that end, make it a little bit safer to travel for the temporary interim. The cost of that, not going to give you new cost on that. I haven't driven that side of Mill Street, so I don't know how bad that is, which is going to climb to the next slide. And maybe the cost, we have to justify right-of-way costs, we have to justify that on right-of-way costs. So if the cost of improving that road is less than a temporary bridge, then it makes it more viable. So it's something that we would be evaluating down the road. So the next slide, to ask for detail, and you can see here, it's taking the Torrey Road backside of the Mill Street. Again, I haven't driven the backside, I didn't know how bad that was until I've gotten the feedback tonight.
Try in the winter.
It's probably even worse, but the good thing is we should be shipping the winter. This is going to get done in the summertime. We shouldn't have that.
Yeah, but the thing is, from most of what we're hearing is, the weight limit's not gonna increase. So we're gonna have a pretty bridge to look at, but it's not solving the problem that we have.
Right, that's where this is going to be not just a V-Trans or an us decision, it also needs to be a town decision and everything about how that's going to be addressed after the bridge is rehab. Maybe that private road is something that gets invested in permanently. But again, that's a property owner's thing, who knows? I might not want to involve it, that is something that needs to be discussed. And something that's, long-term, for a long-term solution. I did this close town on that, or open up a can of worms, you know.
That's fine. I'm just asking, I'm just wondering, so trying to repair the bridge by putting steel beams underneath the base of it, it would not work because we're looking at funding from the state for a historic bridge.
Yeah, it's on the federal side.
So they wouldn't ever think of just putting steel I-beams across the base of it. I know common sense isn't common, but in this state, in places like this, because the historic value of the bridge is more important than its usage. Is that what we're hearing?
So we have a historic covered bridge committee that needs to approve this as well. They're part of, you know, deciding which alternative is going to be allowed. On top, you know, they can kind of give their recommendations to the federal portion of this for the permitting. You know, because this acts and it acts as a covered bridge with the wooden members taking on the loads. That's a big, huge piece of the historic nature of it.
Right.
So once you put steel beams underneath it,
Historic.
it's no longer functioning as a covered bridge. It's kind of like a fake covered bridge at that point. So whether that would be allowed or not, I can't say at this point. I'm guessing it would really be frowned upon.
Right.
But it's definitely.
Circumstances of the people that live there, health and safety.
There's a whole list of priority treatments that were developed in the preservation program about 20 years ago, and we follow it pretty well. This is not the first time it's come up, low capacity from bridge, and we've done a variety of things, from steel beams to timber gluing beams to whatever, when that's necessary because of the location of the bridge and public. So it's not out of the question.
Yeah, the important thing to keep kind of on top of the list is the public safety issues. Right, so that's the mantra that should be repeated to whatever committee has to evaluate this. I just want to add, the span is quite long, at 120 something feet. It's quite a span to span even with steel beams, and those beams have to be very deep. So we also need to look, if that's one of the options, so we at least conceptually look into, we should see with hydraulics what it does with those deeper beams. It's going to affect how much water is going to be able to flow through under the bridge, because you're going to take a good portion of that waterway opening by installing the beams underneath. The other question I have for the town, you mentioned, John, there's a study that was done on the Southern Bridge.
Correct.
What's the load carrying capacity of that bridge?
So it's our understanding, isn't there a state statute that caps wood deck bridges at 16,000 pounds?
Yes.
Yeah.
At maximum. So it's there, and then in the report, and I can share it with you, you know, it outlines like special provisions for potential like increased weight load permits that could be issued by the town for those rare instances.
Okay, so what I'm asking is that if we spend all this kind of money to upgrade this bridge to a really high capacity, are we gonna be faced with other bridge controlling the load carrying capacity?
The other bridge report was built on the fact that looking with the understanding that 16,000 was the maximum it would be under state law.
But obviously the town wouldn't want to do this major upgrade and then have to be limited by the bridge before. That's, yeah. So I think it would then be, is the community would need to vote, probably the bond or whatever, to upgrade that other one as well at some point. Because it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, we'd like to see that report.
Yeah, we'd love to work with you, whatever we can do.
Right.
But was that report recently done?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, 2 months ago. Yeah.
And they did an inspection and they did.
Yep. Yeah, I'm happy to share it with. I can share it with Laura. We can pass it along to you folks. So.
Remember when that bridge was, the lower bridge was built, the goal, like, it came from town, maybe it didn't, that they wanted a pair of covered bridges to look similar, because the bridge that was there was a either steel beam or concrete bridge, grade slows down, and think we usually kind of talked about that, but I think, went up through the pipeline, the governor told us to build a covered bridge. So we did.
So, Laura mentioned earlier, the project must follow section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act because it involves federal funds. Section 106 requires consideration for cultural resources, including historic buildings, historic structures, bridge, and archaeological deposits. Coordination with the State Historic Preservation Office and the Historic Bridge Preservation Committee definitely is important. We definitely have to work top of them, show the condition of the bridge, communicate, some community concerns, perfect, which we plan to be doing that. But they get that expectations and requirements for preserving as much of the historic bridge as reasonably possible. That's the discussion that we have to have with it. And then we will come back on to something. Natural resources, another thing we look at. That is something that's enough.
Can you click it in the notes? The next one.
There's a plan. There we go.
All right, so. Right. Currently, we do not anticipate any permanent property easements needed. Temporary easements for construction access, the bridge underneath and around it, and potential easements for a temporary detour would be required. Use that and operate the road. Next steps, evaluate the rehabilitation options, which we were going to the next step for us. Then we take over alternatives and we talk to the committee and put the comments. Then we'll come back to you guys with a public information meeting to present the recommended rehabilitation alternative. We'll get more additional feedback at that point, and then complete the scoping report. And the scoping report is done. V-Trans in town, it's just in town, and V-Trans would approve the scope at that point for the recommended alternatives.
Yeah, it's town-owned bridge, and so they need to approve the alternative. It'll need to be whatever alternative you ultimately choose will have to be approved by our management staff.
Yeah, yes, combination of both.
Combination of both.
Then when that gets approved, we start the meeting process, national environmental policy process. It's kind of a long process. It started early. And then we start the development of project plans and documents. Hoping to finish the scoping report late this summer or into the fall. And Laura said, there's a lot of development that needs to go, a lot of permitting that needs to happen between now and then, with the goal of completing contract plans in the fall of 2027, advertising for winter, and get a contractor on board, start constructing in the spring of 2020. So again, we're issuing these are the type of things that we'd like to hear from the public, butter concerns, emergency response routes. I'm sure you guys can talk about that. Bridge usage, local events impacts. Some places they have a major event, that happens. And somehow we have to figure out how to accommodate that large volume of traffic on the stuff. So, I have that type of thing here. Bridge safety concerns and any other concerns you have on bridge. So we'll open it up. The opportunity to talk about some more stuff. Laura, yeah, if you don't want to talk about it here, you're comfortable, you want to send an email, voice your concern, you send it to Laura at that contact information up there, or to me at that, or call me, or
I'll keep that up with you. Just mention the historic covered bridge committee, recommendation. I chair the covered bridge committee for the agency. So, and when we have those meetings, we invite the town to come to these meetings to hear the discussion. There's minutes and summaries, but it's nice if someone can come. Yeah, it's good enough. Everybody wanted to come, but it's during the work day. So I think in a situation like this, it would be an advantage to have representation of town at this meeting.
At this point, I'm hoping, in August, we'll meet with them, maybe late August. Is that what you guys? Yeah.
Those meetings really, I mean, the big elephant in the room on this one is for our permitting, is to get permit from the survey section. So these meetings and discussions, we've been working with them very, very well the last 10 years. Wasn't always the case 20 years ago, which is why this committee was developed. So I think the results of our prior shipments and vehicle from town is big. So.
Can you go over the ratios that you talked about earlier in the presentation about town funds, state and federal should we stick with the national registry of historic places?
It's 80-10-10.
80-10.
Yeah, so 80-10-10, but with a rehabilitation and a closure, the town share is typically 2.5%. Because this is a historic structure, there's opportunity for 100% funds covered by the town, covered by the state and the feds. If you enter the historic bridge preservation program. So it will either be 0 or 2.5%.
Following up on that, after I read the Castle Bridge was restored in the historic method. The Ritchie Bridge received a concrete deck with a wooden top. Every tourist in town still thinks it's a covered bridge. What happens to the funding from a state perspective if we should change the nature of the deck?
You mean as part of this project or future projects?
This project.
So that'll have to change like that again. We'll have to go through our permitting process. It's gonna have to go through the Historic Covered Bridge Preservation Committee and kind of be approved on all those fronts, to see if we can permit a project like that. But that would still have the same funding split.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be 2%.
Right. Also, only if it remained historic would the funding remain the same, correct? If
all town highway bridge projects, regardless if they're historic or not, if you do a rehabilitation, which really just means you're keeping the existing foundations of the bridge, it's with a closure is 2.5%.
Right, you cut it in half, 10% in half, if you're rehabilitating. So you're preserving an asset instead of starting all over, doing a big new cost. Then they have it again if you
close the bridge.
Because there's a lot of value in not trying to introduce massive costs of temporary bridges and stuff. So that's the incentive to encourage towns to do that. They get a lower cost share of construction.
So, did I hear it right? If you do something where it's no longer historic, you get 0%.
Yeah. You go back, all the way back down to 10. It's still, the town highway bridge program is still 80-10-10, right?
Well, if you replaced that entire top and left those existing abutments in place, it would still be a 2.5% share. If it remains a historic structure and a rehabilitation, you can enter the historic bridge program where the town gets 0%.
Any of the options allow us to return to being able to get oil and things pumps and agents to be able to access their fields? Is that even in the realm of possibility, or are we gonna forever be dependent on the grace of folks letting us get to some dates on the private road?
Yeah, so that's gonna be evaluated in the alternative, so we'll take a look at how much capacity we can get with this. We'll say, these are the members that have to be replaced to get to 12 tons. These are the members that need to be replaced to get to 15 tons. It's something we're gonna look at.
But that would require changing from wood to something else for the decking, right?
It's possible.
At this point, we don't know.
Based on what you said about the 16.
Right.
But we're still not gonna get emergency services.
Go back to the wood decking. So a bridge might be able to carry more than 8 tons, but we just cap it at 8 with wood decking. It's like an automatic, we say it's posted for 8 tons. That doesn't mean that it can't carry more.
Yeah,
So overall,
he said he's not gonna run his vehicles across the day. Was it any of those way?
If I have an engineer that in writing tells me I can put a 40,000 pound truck over or 20,000 pound truck, it would rework how we would respond. But I'm not gonna put a 40,000 pound truck over a 10,000 pound weighted bridge that is now currently not movable forward 10,000 pounds.
Right.
You do have emergency services, and you have them from the town of Hartland. You have a faster response, believe it or not, from Hartford and from Hartland. It's actually not that bad as it's being made out. The gate situation has been resolved. We have a universal lockbox key that either Hartford or Hartland can open up their own town key. And ambulance response has always been Hartford to that area. And you will get faster fire response now than you had before because Hartford, a department comes on and really respond before we see our question.
Excuse me, to a question that I've been worried about for some time. We live right on after the bridge, the first house. Yes. Yes. If our house were to catch on fire, how long would it take to get fire response to our house?
It would be the driving time from the town from Hartford.
And that,
They're gonna beat
our
us.
house would be gone.
Hartford will beat us there, hands down. We are a volunteer fire department. It's 10 minutes before we're at the fire station, plus driving time to your house. It's gonna be 25 to 30 minutes before we're at your house. That is the nature of a fire. It doubles in size every time. You're gonna get a faster response currently from the town of Hartford, regardless of whether that.
We'll just let this one.
So if that, by the time when he's on there, got this. Just a concern.
What can you say for the general public that will have the engineer study that we did? Should we make it a public?
I'd put it on the website tomorrow.
Some of them are very nature.
Should we have a public meeting?
We had a public select board meeting where we
What
discussed it.
happens?
Okay.
What's different?
We just didn't do this.
The role, I can't, the name escapes me right now, I can't remember the pro.
Country Fields is the only one. Country Fields will go down the back road, they have deadly. We've had others just say they're not gonna be there. And we have to figure something out. And then of course, there's no trash.
No, trash.
There's no garbage trash.
Too many times.
My stuff that took me that I had for 15 years process.
Emergency services.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't, I don't know.
And those persons really, one thing in summer, but winter are a whole different. I mean, that's where I was right to be honest. you know, with that in mind, but that road is not pretty good.
You know, maintain that road. Also, the winter, we'll have day and a half or 2 days, so that's not allowed. I guarantee you, you're not going down there and fire truck for the ambulance, so that's not allowed. I said it down like that, I don't know any times, I said it different for it, and it goes out loud.
Is there another way to wait for the truck? Not full truck. Actual truck weight is or whatever, so they deliver grams a day, so. We got less.
So that's what they used to do, you would be the last stop of the day.
Yeah.
And they would come in with.
Yeah.
Facilitate.
It's a timing thing.
Yeah, we need.
One of those intermediate ones actually.
Should we have one question and one response instead of a group discussion?
Oh, I didn't even kill the discussion. Have some sort of order here.
One of the problems with coming in light at the end of the day was the ones that I talked to were told, limit is the limit on the bridge, which right now is about done.
Yeah.
And that's the limit. If you choose to cross it, right, you damage that bridge, you are now responsible. So then company said, we're not coming in late anymore because if there's any damage to the bridge, we're not gonna pay for it.
That is also challenging, not just the weight, but also the geometry. Some of those little things, they'll try to pretty tall, and they might be challenging when you get the fits in there, so.
We never had it. I think, aside from Merritt's, I think I'm one who's been on the road the longest time. We never had any issue with any vehicle with height or basic services. But now, I mean, unfortunately.
The best way for me to wrap it up is just to say we heard your comments.
Cheyenne,
Did you know what the weight limit was?
And we'll continue our discussion as we go forward.
I think it was maybe 14 or 16, but at that, it was always just curious, I think, since I lived there. And it was always like, if it's an emergency or if it's something that you need, then, you know, it's not another day, like, we're not, nobody was coming to party for, you know, it wasn't, it was like, I need oil, or I need septic, or I need an ambulance, and that was just never a question. I mean, now with the constable sitting there controlling the scales. So, I mean, there's been a pretty massive change in the way things are done.
So we don't go across at all with any of our vehicles, but any level higher that you go than 10, we can go across with the tractor. And that's the one thing that has affected us on the fire the most, is not being able to go across with the tractor and to be able to put the oranges. And we have to do everything the back way.
Are there any more questions? Because I think there's probably a bazillion of them, but for now, are there any more questions of the team here? I think this evening, I'm coming away hearing some of the particular problems that could happen, even if there was reconstruction of what was there with slightly higher load rates. And I think all along we've worried about reconstruction. What are we left with when that's done from a safety perspective for which I think has been addressed. You know, Hartford is doing that pretty well. One of the ideas that Tom and I just were having a side conversation is maybe the town would make the road from Quarry Road down to the bridges a class 3 road. So actually widen it, make it a road instead of the trail that it is right now. I do worry about the school bus issue and the school bus coming up to the bridge and how do the kids get across should construction be starting in the spring and lasting through October. So there's many questions. I think, Laura, I do appreciate your bringing the show to us here because it's important for us in town. The two bridges, the dates that they were built are pretty phenomenal. So yes, it'd be great if we could keep them, but we do have a lot of issues to resolve. And I want to just say thank you for the input tonight. I think it was heard. I know it was recorded there in the back and on CATV. And we'll certainly have this discussion again before there's any decisions that are made, because we need to do the best we can. And you're going to be part of that decision. So thank you. Everyone is welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if we want, but we'll take a break while people.
They're really exciting.
Right. Thanks. I'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Where it was.
There may have been a sign, but it had been.
Where are the board members going?
He's just going to say hello to the meeting.
We're not done yet.
He's just chatting.
Are there any plans to shelter that?
Yeah.
there we go.
Okay. Okay. It is the Damon Hall and Rec Center bid selection discussion, which we started at our last meeting, and we asked John to do some additional research.
Yep. So just a quick summary, we got 2 bids for the Damon Hall and Rec Center drainage work that we had talked about back in the early spring, late winter. Some specific items that were identified in the architect report that we got back. We got 2 bids. After looking at them and talking to some references, it's my recommendation that the board select the Isaac's excavating and construction bid for $189,690. They have their work history is more particularly relevant. They've done this type of drainage improvement work before. And I also shared both bids with Tom Yannerl, who will be managing the project for the town, and he is in agreement that Isaac's is the way to go.
And that's the same one you recommended previously?
That is correct.
Okay, and there's been no change in the.
No change.
When's their start date? Did they?
They did not. There's not a start date in there, but when we put the bid out, the expectation was that work was happening this construction season. And we can confirm that as soon as I, make the call.
Okay. Any questions?
The only thing I'd question is it going to be in August and through November?
Well, that's a question. That's a question that I can talk to when I call them.
You've got 2 elections.
We do. We do. But much like,
I mean, we can change the venue of the voting. There's no doubt about that. But.
Right. Or we can ensure that when elections are happening, that there is a clear and safe path for folks to enter the building. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Can we get a motion?
I make a motion that we contract with Isaac's for $189,690 for drainage repairs for both Damon Hall and the Rec Center.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes.
Okay.
Thank you. Be great to get that.
We got it going.
Hey, John, we're on to the town manager update.
Correct. So the truck number 6, the 1-ton truck, is not at Dalton's Automotive anymore. It is at Claremont Ford getting a new transmission. We expect to have it back by the end of, the part should be in this week, truck and transmission installed and back in our possession by the end of next week.
Sorry, the trucks and the images aren't in my.
This is the red.
Is this the one that drove over the plow? No.
No, this is not the one that went over the plow. This is the other one that had other significant mechanical issues.
And it was at somebody else's place for a while, and then we got it back.
Correct. But the transmission that went into this truck last May, we had a 1-year warranty on it. It didn't get back to Claremont Ford until about 10 days after that 1-year warranty had expired. So I talked with them. The service manager was very sympathetic and tried everything in her power to get it covered under the warranty. So our cost share on that's going to be about $2,500.
What's the total cost?
I think their share was $6,000 or $7,000. Nine.
Ford share.
Ford share.
Yeah, thank you.
So we will have a functioning F550 soon.
550 or 350?
550.
So is that a ton and a half?
So when that truck comes back, they can still chloride the roads without that truck?
That is the truck that we use to chloride the roads.
But is there another truck they can use to pull a trailer? Because it goes on a trailer, right?
It goes on a trailer. That truck is wired and set up to pull the chloride trailer. We have GMC 1-ton that
Could pull the trailer.
could conceptually pull the trailer, but it put it under a significant load. And so we've been.
So if the truck doesn't come back, I guess I'm suggesting that either
If
get
the
the truck or get
Right.
something.
Yes, if the truck doesn't come back as scheduled, we need to do something else
Yes,
about
absolutely.
fluoride on the
I
roads.
believe this time it sounds to me like it's coming back.
I have
Congratulations for staying on this as long as you have.
As long as it's not amusing.
Hey, what about roadside mowing? What's going on with roadside mowing?
Roadside mowing is underway. The person who was doing the roadside mowing has some health issues and was out for most of the last couple of weeks. So he is back. I spoke with him today. We will be roadside mowing. We can expect him to be in the roadside mower until he's needed in the excavator in August. So
somebody was out mowing too.
Somebody was out mowing today. Yes. We're on it.
Yeah, it'd be good to get at the poison parsley before it seeds out.
Yes. Yes, we're aware they're on it.
You got the state too. Have you seen Route 12? When I bike down Route 12, they're 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
So, the power lines came down last week. If you didn't notice in the 3 corners, the poles are coming out tomorrow at approximately 9 or 9:30. If you want to, we can set up a ribbon if you'd like to have a ribbon cutting to like some sort of ceremony at the end. So that is happening, and then that will conclude, in essence, the 3 Corners project. We have some outstanding bills coming in.
John, be careful.
From our contractors.
We're still at the intersection lights.
That is a separate project. This is the intersection project, as was put out to bid, is coming to an end.
Okay.
Can we get a cost on all that at some point? We still haven't gotten the.
Correct.
Accounting.
We're still waiting for the final invoices from First Light and Comcast. We just got the invoice from GPI, who was managing the project, but that was only through the end of May. So we expect those in the next couple of weeks. We did, back to the highway, as of today, we hired a new highway crew member. So we're working our way back up to staff.
Oh, great.
So that's good.
We're still down 1 now?
We're still down 1, yeah. So start date on that person will be July 22nd. We'll probably send them straight to CDL school. So get that. No. Great. Yes.
So this is a kind of a junior position we're hiring.
Correct. And we'll send them and get their CDL so that when we have all the trucking needs in August, and we'll get them going right away.
How long's the?
It's 2 weeks. It's Monday through Thursday for 2 weeks. There's a cost to us. We'll foot the bill for that with some sort of agreement, and we can have something in writing that they are going to stick around for X number of time, like 1 year, 2 years. We'll sit down and figure that out. I did speak with them about that during the hiring process, and they were very comfortable with that idea as well.
So where's the new employee from?
Heartland resident, born and raised.
And he wasn't, well, he could have been born.
Well, I should say, he has lived here for his entire life. We did receive the Class 2 roadways grant to pave the Brownsville Road. We had talked about this a few months ago. We had submitted an application so that we did get the award last week on that. So that's it's a $200,000 roadways grant. We do have 20% match on that, but it's like 2 inches of kind of grind and overlay on the Brownsville Road from where the paving ended up to as far as it will go. That's up to as far as that $200,000 will get us. Basically, that should be pretty close to the town line there. And that should extend the kind of useful life of the Brownsville Road for a number of years. We are just finalizing the bid for paving for this year. It looks like we have enough money to do both ends of Mount Hunger and Ferry Road, essentially from the other side of the railroad tracks, other direction. So we're doing that. There was with one catch though, on the far end of Mount Hunger, the Gilson road side of Mount Hunger, there's a culvert that is buried well beneath the road, approximately 10 feet down, that does need to be replaced. So that was an unplanned expense that we were not, I guess, upon inspection, the bottom of the culvert is essentially gone. So the cost on that is, it's going to be about $8,000 or $9,000. The contractors who are doing the ditch work will do the culvert. The question is whether we want to dip into the culvert fund to pay for that, as opposed to taking it out of the paving money for the year.
There's not culvert money set aside.
We have a culvert fund that's got 200 and.
But I mean, in the general budget for the year.
I don't know what we have left in terms of, whether we want to use, we use that culvert money to do kind of the general maintenance on culverts. The culverts are replacing, once a week, the small 1 or 2 foot ones. This is a 3 or 4 foot diameter culvert. So it's more expensive than we would normally do under the culvert, the general culvert maintenance. So.
Why don't you make a recommendation?
So it would be my recommendation that we use, up to, whatever the cost is, the cost of the culvert plus the contractor, I believe it's $8,000 out of the culvert fund, which has $204,000 in it.
So I'm feeling neutral on this, but I mean, we've got the bridge money, the culvert money is supposed to be for the emergencies, right? We've got FEMA money coming back in.
We do.
We've got a general fund surplus. You probably could swing it if you choose to.
We could. I would argue that this was an unplanned expense that we are going to have other unplanned expenses, which I will talk about in just a minute, that other unplanned highway expenses that we need to address that we're unsure of the cost of right now.
And if we're going to pave over it, why don't we?
Well, I think,
absolutely, we're absolutely doing it now. Yeah,
it's just what pool will we take?
Right, exactly. So my recommendation would be to pull the money from the culvert fund that has the funds in it, because we do have if you're going up the Brownsville Road, as you get to the town line, the guardrail is not really serving much purpose at this point, and it's become a bit of a safety hazard. So we need to address that. And that
there's a leftover issue there right from the floods last year, where the road was temporarily.
Right. So the Band-Aid fix that was done last year did not last. A real engineered fix is going to be, my gut tells me, in the hundreds of thousands of dollars range. So in the interim, we need to do something to make it safe. It's a more permanent Band-Aid. So, which is why, to your point from earlier, yes, we might have some surpluses from last fiscal year, but we have this expense that we don't actually have a number for.
Okay. Do they armor the bank by pouring 7-inch minus or riprap of some sort on the
I think that BJ had a preliminary conversation with the stream alteration engineer about it, and they're talking stack stone wall all the way down to the brook. Whoa, right. So $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 project. I don't think dumping 7-inch stone is going to.
I guess what I've been seeing from a lot of the flood damage is when they replace it, they angle the banks so that when the water flow comes up, it can get up and over the road again instead of digging into the bank and collapsing the roads.
The problem is that in this setting, it's such a steep valley setting, and the road, we can't move the road any further away. So the road has to stay there. Yeah. This is what we're stuck with. And we have to work within the confines of that really narrow valley.
I understand that. I guess what I'm saying is, when they temporarily fixed it, what did they do to temporarily fix it?
That we don't know. We don't know. We don't know, but I think one of my points is we don't know, and we don't know what that's going to cost. We don't know what the unknown is going to cost.
Right.
So let's keep what surplus money we might have available to us to fix it.
I guess you're missing my point.
Sorry, yeah.
So they temporarily fixed it.
Right.
Is it starting to fail
Yeah, the temporary fix from last year has
Didn't work at
failed.
all. Did it work temporarily?
Yeah, I mean, it worked temporarily, yeah, but I don't know when it failed completely, but.
In the interim, is there a way that we temporarily fix it again until we get the funding to get it fixed properly?
Yes.
Can the town do that?
I don't know if we have the capacity to do it, or the right tools to do it. It would be somebody we'd have to hire, a contractor to bring in to do that temporary fix.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I got lost here. Are we talking the Brownsville Road?
Correct, the Brownsville Road up at the top, by the town line.
So when you dig the stone out from the culvert by Paul Gaudet's, take that stone up there. There's like a big stone.
Oh, there's some big rocks.
Yeah.
I guess, okay, I do see your point. I think what we were just trying to say is that temporarily, if it's still eroding in there, could we just temporarily fix it again until we do get the.
Yeah.
That's all.
So, yeah, sorry if I misunderstood.
Yeah, I know so we can do that, but I'm pretty sure I get.
Are we gonna hire a structural engineer or somebody to help us and then talk to stream alterations? Because I think
so
there's always alternatives to what they want.
Correct, right. We need that's so steep and so big that we need an engineer to come up with a design for us.
Yeah.
And then we can take that design and see what funding we can find.
It's been a really big problem for a long time.
Right, yes.
Okay.
50 years.
The problem is, we talked at the last meeting about all the available post-disaster funding. This project doesn't kind of fall within the possibility of that neatly.
Martin, did we identify that as a flood-related site?
Yeah.
So we do have evidence.
Yes, yeah, we're getting, I think that site was $5,000 or $8,000 part of the FEMA.
Yeah, but my point is that we can show that.
A documented history of damage there, yeah.
So do you need a vote or anything for us to?
So in 2000, no, well, let's go back to the original discussion, the culvert on Mount Hunger. It was 2018, 2019, the board decided to set up the culvert fund. It's unclear whether you need to approve the withdrawal of the expense from that. But,
generally,
given the vagueness around it.
Money has to come, I think the way I understand it, and you can check with the LCT, it's a gray area, but it's generally the select board's fiduciary responsibility to take money out of reserve funds and allow them to be spent.
Okay.
Well, that's a pain.
Right. So we would need board approval then to withdraw up, like we could say up to $10,000. Recognize it's going to be more 8,500 or so for the total cost of the project.
Approval tonight. I mean, it helps you to have the approval.
It helps to have the approval tonight because we are hoping to sign that contract with our paving company, who's going to be doing the work this week.
And check in with Lee, because that doesn't make any sense. We set up these funds, and then for every nickel dime you want to take out of that fund, you have to get our permission, where you should have the authority to go and spend $5,000 without us.
That's how
I'm saying is that let's stop doing that.
But I think it's our responsibility to represent the voters and be fiscally responsible.
I can check in, but in the interim tonight, can you all agree to?
I make it authorize the town manager to transfer up to $10,000 from the culvert reserve fund to address the culvert need on Hunger Road.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tom. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Motion passes.
Great. So that's the culvert paving. Old Home Days this Thursday. You're ready for your big parade?
So we usually meet at what, 9:30? 10:45?
Yeah, at the sign shop.
At the sign shop.
And I have the sign.
Okay.
Is everybody coming?
9:30?
9:45.
I need to wear a helmet.
Have a change of clothes after. And running
It's
shoes.
the super soakers that get you.
Then lastly,
and I think kids will be upset when you don't have candy to throw out.
Oh.
So,
Why don't you guys throw candy?
Yeah.
goodwill.
yeah.
The
Throw Katie's cookies.
See, now you're talking.
For your
Might be
duties?
expensive, though.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess so.
Okay.
I won't have a 1 ton to stand in, so I'm using my pickup.
You do not have a 1 ton to stand in this year. You do not. The July 15th select board meeting, I will be out of town for. Do we want to reschedule it for the following Monday?
That's the 22nd.
The 22nd.
22nd.
That's what I was thinking.
What's that?
If we have a meeting while you're not here, we can talk about.
We can talk about it.
Martin volunteers to run it.
Oh.
So everybody put special SB down on the 22nd.
You already had
We
it. see?
wrote that last time, right?
So we're good. 22nd?
22nd.
Okay.
All right, so, yeah, we don't need a motion, we need to post it because it's not.
Yep. Yeah, we'll put that on. We'll get that on the website tomorrow. So then that is it for me.
John, what kind of reaction have you gotten to the newsletter?
We've gotten, since Clyde mentioned that there was a newsletter available, we've gotten a lot of feedback on it.
Great.
So
can I suggest to you that with our help and others, that you either explore the concept of a guest editor or themes for a certain issue, so that the burden doesn't land on you?
yeah, I'm more than open. I was talking with Tracy about how the library uses their newsletter. So it's
So talk to Tom Marsh.
yes,
He puts his together really fast.
this is very lengthy too.
Yes.
And Norwich
This is
has,
very informative.
Norwich has had one. I don't know if
Yeah.
they still have it.
Yeah, so it's hopefully we get one out, as a summertime edition.
Yeah.
And hopefully it'll keep some of the crap off the other list there too.
Right. We'll make everybody more informed, certainly.
Let's just ask another truck question.
Yeah.
Do we now only have one truck that's out of commission?
Correct. We only have one truck that is out of commission.
Okay. Things are really looking up around here.
That's the transmission truck.
The transmission truck. Right. Now, everybody find a piece of wood to knock
The one
on.
with the plow blade is completely.
It's back in action. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we are, that's the only one. It is hopefully back by the end of next week. We will be, and once we have that truck back, there'll be chloride. We pulled the hydro seeder with it. We will be doing pothole maintenance because we can put, hot patch in the back of it. So we're gonna get it back and put it right to work. So.
Great.
That's it.
We have the future agenda items, dog ordinance, capital plan, and listers discussion.
We have to put the cemetery.
Cemetery should be in there as well.
Yes, let's add it. And I think before too long, let's have a debriefing on tonight's discussion to just talk a little bit about what we heard and are there any next steps for us to sort of think.
Also, North Hartland School.
There's been
far out is that?
So they have the report. I have not heard back since we sent the inspection report to the
No, as
committee.
far as just a future agenda.
Oh, sure.
Okay, John, is there any correspondence?
There was 3 of you received postcards from VLCT, which were in front of you when you sat down, outlining the town. I believe it's the upcoming town fair.
Great. And that's
I'm not sure why 3 of you got them
in
and not
October.
last.
It's the good stuff, or maybe the remedials.
Ones who are still invited back to the
That is it.
And are we in danger of losing any town employees to the professional golf tour after the tournament?
We are not. We are not. It was a good time, but I think we're all still happily to be gainfully employed here.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. What's that about?
We had the VLCT golf outing last Friday.
Oh.
And 4 of us attended it.
Oh.
We put our best faith.
All right. Who's ready to join the tour and who's ready to find another,
I think we should all just stay at the top.
We're all here.
That's the short answer.
I tried to have first dibs if they gave a professional caddy, but they said it was not going to be needed.
No, it was not. It was not.
Okay, then we do have a executive session tonight and the potential would be potential action. So, Jim, would you put us through that motion?
So this will be two motions. The first motion is to recognize the document we're going to be discussing in executive session contains information about a person's personal finances. Therefore, it's exempt from public inspection. So I make a motion that the document we're about to review is exempt from public inspection pursuant to 1 V.S.A. 317C7.
I'll second that motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 I now make a motion that we enter executive session to have the discussion pursuant to 1 V.S.A. 313A6.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Thank you, Cheyenne. Okay, we are back.
Okay, so we've returned to open meeting, and I would like to make a motion to authorize the town manager to appropriate up to $790 from the Merritt Campbell Fund.
98.
I'm sorry?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, I think we are done with our business. Thank you.
There we go.
See you all on the 4th.
Just a side note to kind of this last